And welcome to another episode of Nights at the Round Table. Here, it's your boy Manny Fresh, and we got Bo Beast,
What's up?
Queen,
Hey.
Be Real. We're here. It's a late night. We've just
It is a
been
night at the round table.
lollygagging. These two ordered pizza from Domino's and thought it was gonna come quicker than.
You know
It
what?
did.
Domino's, it still came in 40 minutes.
You
or
changed my
less.
mind about it. Like, I think for a lot of those pizza places, I'm past that stage in my life. But I was so hungry that
I'm past Domino's.
I was like, yo, this pizza's good.
I'm better than this.
Oh, man.
I live to serve.
Hey, well, we're here, and we're going to try to give it a good go here. And let's talk about this wine. Big talk about it because
Okay,
our friends gave it to us.
this one's
Aw.
pretty special. This
Crazy
is
that they have their own wine.
Bertinelli Estates. My friend
Sounds like
Valerie.
Martinelli.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
But it's not.
It is not. Valerie Bertinelli, I met years ago on a pilot. There was a pilot she was doing, and I got cast in it with her. And that's how we met and became friends. And recently, Manny and I were on her Food Network TV show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. And she gave us a little thank you gift. And this was part of that thank you gift was a bottle of wine from her estates.
That's awesome.
Damn, goals.
got
I want
her
to have
own
estates.
Yo.
So
Thank you, Val.
thank you, Valerie Bertinelli. We are drinking your 2016 red wine from California.
It was a good year
Cheers,
that
cheers,
was.
cheers.
What are we doing 2016?
I got married 2016. That's
Oh. Drink.
hey.
Thank you for
that's
that.
pretty good.
Hey,
That is
so we're
good.
going to talk about today lies we love to believe. A little bit different than lies the church told you. It's those things that you've been telling yourself, or like when a girl and another girl are friends and there's a boy that doesn't like them and they're like, hey, don't worry, he didn't call you because he's intimidated by your mind. That's why he didn't call. Or he's not talking to you because he needs to grow up and da-da-da-da-da. The lies that we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel better. Those are a couple of examples that came off the top of my dome.
Yeah, always
'Cause
directed at
really-
females.
No, I'm just saying, I think it's because I'm a movie guy and the movie He's Not That Into You
Uh-huh.
came to my head. And
Mhm.
so, or when the guy,
There you go.
when the
Thank
girl is
you.
like, maybe we should just be friends, and you really believe her. Either way, these are just things that we tell ourselves to help ourselves feel
When
better.
guys believe they can get out of the friend zone.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
It's very much a thing. Well, we're going to address certain lies that particularly apply to ourselves. Does anybody want to jump right in?
Brandon.
You always do that
Okay,
to him.
I
Always.
hate because we're always sitting across from each
Yeah.
other, so it's the easiest to look at each other, and then I always get sucked into this.
Manny,
Anyways,
you go first.
I can start. That's fine. All right, my lie off the top is this: that time heals all wounds.
It's
Wow.
a popular one.
It is
Very
a
popular.
very
It is popular.
popular lie that we love to believe.
Well, tell me why it's a lie, because I feel like sometimes I still subscribe to the lie. So please tell me.
Well,
Yeah.
it may not be a universal lie. It's something that in which it's not always true. Is the better way.
Right.
Is the better way to say it.
Sure. Well, let's hear it.
I have found it to be a lie in my own life. Now, again, the story that I'm particularly pulling from when it comes to this is my relationship with my mother. You guys have heard about my parents' divorce, the way that it affected me, and all of that. And so, at the time where it was super ugly, at that time in my life, I wasn't in the place to be mature enough to understand where my mom was coming from in it. So I was very critical. I was very harsh, very judgmental about where she was at in her journey. And so I just thought, there will come a point where my mom and I will be friends. So this is 2011. I start to cut my mom out of my life. 2012 goes by. The divorce becomes official. 2013, I still feel weird around her. I'm like, I don't want you to be around me. This is like still hurting me. 2014, still the same thing. We're in 2015 now, and I still feel a way about my mom.
Wow.
We're not talking that much. I mean, there was a period there where we didn't talk for almost 6 to 7 months.
Wow.
Whoa.
And you guys all now know, like, my mom,
the
I mean, she's
best.
freaking moving in with us. We're stoked.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember thinking, why is it that this is now almost 4 years later, and I still feel the same exact way?
Mm.
And I realized, like, time hadn't done anything except bury the hurt and the pain deeper.
Wow.
And you get so used to going on with life that all of a sudden you now become numb to that pain unless there's these moments where it like becomes triggered and then you realize, oh, actually I still feel away. And so I just remember having this honest conversation with myself and thinking, you know what? I've been trying to use time as an excuse
Wow.
to not actually deal with this thing head on.
Jeez.
And actually, my mom's not the problem. I'm the problem. And I'm holding this thing against her. And my mom is now trying to move on with her life and move forward. And I am still pulling her back into what I want her, what she used to be to me. And thinking that time was going to fix that. The fact that like we're thinking like if I look on a calendar, well, if I get to this point, things will be different. Well, no, things won't be different because you're going to be the same. That's why New Year's resolutions don't work for people. Is because time isn't going to make you a disciplined person and have you all of a sudden in this place where you can now have self-control and watch what you're eating and going to the gym. Like, no. And so I think time heals all wounds is this tricky thing because it can put you in a place where you now remove yourself out of taking ownership of your own life and doing the work.
That's so good.
Because, you know, forgiveness is one of those things that we've talked about before.
Every time.
Every
That
time.
wasn't me. Why'd you look at me like it was me?
Sorry, that was me.
Angela.
That was me. That was
Because
me.
you were thinking it.
I was.
Forgiveness is one of those things that, again, unless you let go, like like Monday isn't going to come to you in 2 years from now and be like, all right, it's time to let go.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's not, calendar isn't going to do anything for you. It's going to be you actually doing the work. And it's crazy because once you do the work again, now all of a sudden time is aiding in your healing process.
yeah.
And those wounds are now being covered. But if you refuse to do the work, if you refuse to take ownership, if you continue to hold on to that thing, all of a sudden the time is not going to help you. It's actually going to continue to hurt you.
Yeah.
Because again, it is just going to bury that hurt. It is going to bury that pain. And so for me, man, I got to try and do my best to like redeem my time because time is already moving fast enough.
Yeah.
And so what am I doing now to like work on these issues and my wounds? Because we all got wounds, you know what I'm saying? And we're all working through something. And if you don't have a wound right now, you're probably going to get wounded pretty soon.
Yeah.
And again, the calendar isn't going to change anything. You are in the driver's seat and your ability to change things is just all on you. So
I subscribe to that. I feel that.
you feel that? That's
Yeah,
good.
that makes sense.
But
Sign.
it's so easy to think that time heals all wounds because it just feels like that's something that's happening to you.
Yeah, well, but it takes away the self-responsibility, like you said, of taking actions to do that. And I've said on the podcast before, I think on the what do you do when you lose loved one in season 1, that in some aspects, I feel like my high school like crush was more difficult and took me longer to get over than my divorce. Wasn't more painful in hindsight, but it took me longer. And the reason is because I used to think that. I used to think that time heals all wounds. I ain't gonna do anything. But every time I saw him, I was like, oh man. And it wasn't until honestly years later that I feel like time can heal a certain amount of the sting, but time does not heal the wound.
Yeah, well, it heals a sting because you're now seeing it from a different perspective. So hopefully there's been some sort of level of growth in your life.
Right.
So if now I'm not just seeing this at a 10,000 foot view, I'm now seeing this 30,000 foot view and I'm saying, oh, like at that time when that was happening, I didn't see it this way.
But also with like wounds, if you don't clean that out and like do stuff, like you can still have skin, sorry to be graphic, growing over it, but that's still going to be there. Like if you don't do anything about it, it might not hurt in the initial touch anymore, but that wound is still there if you don't see to it. And so I learned that. I agree with what you're saying, Brandon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I like my lie that I've been very passionate about kind of relates to that a little. And it is the lie that everything is fine. And for a while, I literally have a framed photo in my office at work of the statement, welcome, everything is fine. And because it's such a statement I heard for so long, and as a church kid grew up in it, I learned how to do green rooms so well. I learned how to network so well. And without even realizing it, I was putting together pretty sermons, but letting my character kind of like go on the back burner. And because I realized that if everything was fine, it makes no one uncomfortable around me. But that's not on me. If someone's uncomfortable by my mess, by my reel, by what's happening in my life. And it's been a really interesting journey because even in like my marriage and previous stuff that's been going on in my life, I would slap a smile on my face, slap some heels on, and be like, everything's fine. And I think we all do it. I don't think it's just me. Like, spoiler alert, it's not just me that has learnt this lie that if I say everything's fine, then maybe everything will be fine. And it maybe takes the word of faith thing to the extreme of like, if I just speak it, it'll be reality. But also, like, God's cool with heartbreak. And it says in Psalms that when you feel kicked in the gut, God is right there. And I think the experience of me getting vulnerable has been the realization that God's so close in my pain when I'm prepared to talk about it, when I'm prepared to uncover it. And it's for sure been a journey, again, growing up in church, but then realizing it in myself, I look around and I'm like, man, we're all doing it. You see that couple come to church on a Sunday and the person on the door is like, how are you doing? And she or he's like, everything's fine. God's good. Blessed and highly favored.
Blessed and highly favored.
The two probably just cussed each other out on the way in the car, like had an argument. Or the mum in the grocery store, supermarket, and her kid, yeah, Australia, you're welcome. But like the kid screaming and like throwing a tantrum, and the mum's like trying to pretend like everything's fine. Like we all have these daily things in our lives where we just want to believe if I keep a smile on my face, if I don't break down right now, then maybe I can throw my head in the sand and ignore what's going on and life will take care of itself. And I've just realized in my own life that ignoring something doesn't make it go away. It just, like kind of what you said, it makes the wound go deeper. Sure, you can cover it a couple of layers with an everything is fine. But if you're really not dealing with that, it will come back to bite you in the butt years later. And I honestly think one of the reasons I got married and had some of the things that we've talked about so many times on the front end that I ignored was because of my own brokenness, was because everything's fine. It looks good, so it must be good. And not really diving deeper and asking the deeper questions of him and honestly of me. Why am I choosing him? Why am I wanting to be accepted so bad? I felt like as long as everything's fine on the outside, everything eventually could be fine. And I know that a lot of preachers, a lot of inspirational people can preach about their pain from their past 10 years down the track, but I don't think I went through this without there being a reason. And so I think for me, my journey's been, can I take down the mask of everything is fine, to be vulnerable and raw when things are still messy without it having to be 10 years down the track? Can I do it a couple weeks, a couple months and let people in on the journey? And I think when I'm able to take my mask down to say everything is not fine, and I'm not saying on like a global scale of like, oh my God, I'm a mess, and just like bleeding all over everybody. I mean like the safe people in my life to be able to find some healing, but then not taking so long that it can be wrapped up with a bow and put under a Christmas tree as a well-wrapped present, which I think sometimes we do, but say, hey, I'm still on the journey with this. And that's part of what this podcast has been for me, is being able to take down that mask, that facade of everything is fine long enough to say, like, hey, it's not always fine. Yeah. And maybe in the process give someone else the permission to say me too.
I've challenged myself to do that, to always, when somebody asks me, how you doing, that I just answer honestly.
And people don't know how to
Straight
respond
on.
sometimes.
Yeah, you're like, yo, I'm doing terrible. And
Yeah,
they're like,
like,
okay, cool. It's
nice.
good seeing you. I'll see you next Sunday.
I always feel stupid afterwards, though, because I'll have a conversation with somebody. I'm like, I ain't seen this nigga in a long time. And I'm like, did I say too much? Did I overshare?
Yeah.
But at least I was real. You never know. That dude could be going through the same thing. So I I try to be as honest as possible, because I think it's hella fake to be like, how you doing? I'm good.
Yeah, and I'm
easy.
guilty
I'm
of
good.
that. You know, one of my favorite passages in Scripture, it's so overly misused, is there's this passage where Paul says, where the Spirit of the Lord is,
There is freedom.
there's freedom. And in a lot of churches, we sing it as this thing of like, it's a freedom to express yourself in worship. Like, you can be real spiritual right now. You
Right.
could jump up and down and shout. But the
can
context
roar
of the
like a
actual
lion.
Scripture is he's like going in on Moses.
Mm.
And he's like, all y'all were fooled. Like, there was a point where Moses lost the glory. And that's why he was wearing the veil.
Wow.
And he didn't have the juice no more. In the words of Drake, he ain't got juice no more. And so he's saying, but now we're living in a place where there is freedom to live our lives unmasked. That like the actual invitation of the Spirit of God is that you would live in this place of the utmost honesty and again be like empowered in that. And again, it doesn't mean just you're just like spreading your trash everywhere. You're not just gonna go on the street and you're just throwing your trash. Again, it's having those people around you who you can open up and be vulnerable with. But at the same time too, it's also, I feel like it's an assault on you and your fakeness. I think that's like which is like one of the worst things to see on anybody, but especially in the church, which is where kind of a lot of us have seen the most of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, there is freedom to live our lives unmasked. We don't have to pretend like we got something that we don't got. Like, let's live in authenticity. Let's be genuine with what we're saying and what we're doing.
It's like I remember when I was really trying to figure out what is the truth in my life when I was married. Like, what am I meant to do? Do I leave? Do I stay? And I was like seeking God for truth. And one day I just felt like he hit me over the head in the most loving way ever. I was like, at least there's not going to be honesty in your situation until there's honesty with yourself. And that was the day that I realized I'd been lying to myself for so long. And I think we do that. And I think finding the truth, therefore finding freedom, doesn't start till we're honest with ourselves. And for some reason, whether it's social media now and Instagram and filters, we think that we can find the truth with a filter. But that's just like deception is just a lie with a pretty filter. And I think for me, I had to realize that I had been living in deception because I'd been just lying to myself. And I think when you say something long enough, you start to believe it's true. Yeah. And honestly, taking the mask down starts with that really tough sentence that almost feels like you're going to throw up, that like everything's not okay. And until you get honest with yourself, you're not going to find the truth, and therefore you're not going to find the freedom that you're after. And I think so many of us want to spit scripture without really getting honest between us and God with where we're actually at. I'm very passionate about this subject.
No, yeah. Well, it's good. Be passionate, be authentic in it all. I think one of the reasons also that people are like that leads to the lie that I was going to talk about.
Oh, segue.
Which is simply that that everyone has it better than me. You know,
What?
everyone has it better than me, and it's easy to do that. Like what we was talking about in a Instagram generation, it's so easy.
Yeah.
We do it. I mean, there's a movie about it called the
Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Oh, that was a good one.
With the dude from X-Files.
Mm-hmm. David Duchovny.
Yeah. Where they were just a family that was hired
Good
to
job,
put together. They're a fake family. They're high-end pick, like pretty looking family, and they get given all the fly stuff so that the people in the neighborhood would want to buy everything that they have. So they look like this perfect family with all the best everything.
It's crazy.
And we look over to the left and we always look over to the right, and we legit feel that other people have it better than us, you know? For me, it's like in my career, you know? We do this. We're looking on Instagram and I see all the homies that are like succeeding in the career, and I'm thinking, oh man.
Dropping EPs.
These fool got
doing live performances.
Yeah, this fool got better. This fool got, he's ahead of me. He's ahead of me. And it's a lie that I believe, not knowing where they're at in life, not knowing if they're happy or if they're not, or if they're sad. And I just think, oh, they got it all. And usually when I find out at the end of the day, it's like they're not in a happy place. They just got success. And so that's a lie that it took me a while to really like let it sink in. And it took me getting off of social media for a minute. Mm-hmm. Just like recalibrate.
Totally.
Recalibrate and just be like, look, you have to be happy with your path. Because the way they got to where they're at, you can't really honestly answer if you would do it. Would you put in the time, or would you even want that life? Like, would you really want, like, I look at Bieber and I'm like, that nigga got it all. But I'm like, man, he can't even go to the theater. I don't want that life. I can't have that. But it takes someone to like really like assess who you are, assess what you have, fall in love with your path, fall in love with your story, to be able to look at somebody else and be like, good on you, but that's not for me. It's honestly not for me, and I'm not like envious of it.
I've had a lot of friends that, you live in LA long enough, you start to meet people of notoriety or that would be seen on Instagram as influencers. But I've had a lot of people that have become
Are you
friends.
talking about me?
Yeah, absolutely. So her name, I will keep it vague. Let's call her
Schmangela.
Schmangela.
Schmonchman.
Schmonchman. How do you know her? Did
Sorry,
you know her?
Schmonchman Schmeyes. Jewish.
So, but a lot of friends that have, like, in a sense, like quickly risen to fame and quickly risen to this life that looks so great on Instagram. And you get them in a room without cameras, without filters, without something to post, and they're freaking out because suddenly they have all these opinions of people. And so what you see on Instagram, the thing that you have an opinion on, it's so interesting to see the other side of it and see that everyone is just trying to figure this out. And the crazy thing to me is that we all know that the life we post on Instagram is not real. And for some freaking reason, we have an incredible disability to believe the life I'm seeing of someone else is fake. But I know mine is. And I know in theory yours are. And we know it on theory, and yet when we're scrolling, it's
Right.
so aggressive.
Yeah.
This pressure
Yes.
to do it as well.
I remember one time I was on vacation and I saw this these two girls, like real pretty girls. I was like, Instagram chicks, because they was mad posing, super smiling, like so happy. And I was like, damn, they really feeling themselves right now. And because they was doing selfies and they were just taking a whole bunch of them posing, and the second they stopped,
Stop
their
smiling.
faces went so sad, like drastically sad. Not like normal, let me check the pictures I got, but like sad, like I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can't believe I got to see this like in person,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm wondering how many
Yeah.
of them do it. And I was watching a friend of ours, she's like an Instagram girl, and
You
she
guys,
was with a bunch of
stop. I didn't
Instagram
know.
girls.
I didn't know. What?
She was with a bunch of them, and man, the phones were out, and they were
Mm-hmm.
just capturing their best life. And this,
And then they go and post it by themselves in their room.
It's so crazy to me to think that's what I compared myself to. Now I'm the worst. I'm the worst at social media, because I'm like, man, I only post if I have to. Sometimes I go a long break with not posting anything, because I'm like, I ain't got nothing to say. I ain't got nothing to say, and nothing real is gonna come out of me. So I'm just gonna chill.
Yeah, the Instagram is tough. Like, there's only been a few times where I posted, like, we've been on vacation. I was like, yeah, nobody got it better than me. But for the most part, I'm like, it's a struggle to feel like that. Like, there's no such thing as a life that's better than yours, quoting J. Cole.
Yep.
Ah, J.
like,
Cole. Gotta love that
Again, I remember this moment. This happened when we had first moved to LA. We're in a 1-bedroom apartment at the time. And I just remember there was one morning I was scrolling through Instagram, and at that time there was like a couple other young designers that I was following, and their brands are completely blowing up. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm a far more talented designer than you. Somehow you're popping off right now and I'm not. And why do you got it better than me? I deserve that, And I just remember this moment. I just put my phone down. Maddie had just woken up. And so she turns over and she just like smiles at me. It's like a soft smile. It wasn't like aggressive smile in the morning, because that'd be really weird.
All your teeth showing. Like she's been awake for hours
Just
staring
watching
at
you.
you.
That would be so uncomfortable. I'd go back on Instagram. But it was like this soft smile. And for just this moment, this doesn't happen every morning. This is just a quick highlight, a special moment. And I just remember looking at her smile. And I just was just like, in this moment, I just thought, wow, like, we're really living Los Angeles. We're pursuing our dreams. We're both healthy. We have enough means to cover all of our expenses and live a good life. It's a simple life. It's just me and her. We got our own world that we're making. Like, it doesn't get better than this. Like, I got everything in the entire world that I would ever want right now in this moment.
Wow.
And that's like one of those memories that I try and pull from when I start feeling like I'm not content with where I'm at in my life,
great.
and my career, and my path, and all that sorts of stuff. And so, yeah, I like really try and hold on to that. There is no such thing as life that's better than yours. I remember this old mentor, he told me, he said, Brandon, if one day we were able to put all of our problems on the table, you know whose problems you would take first? Yours. And I never thought about it in that sense of like, there's people who we're comparing ourselves to, and if we were to see their problems, every single day we'd pick the problems that we're facing right now.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, it's a like I think as well in the day and age of instant gratification, it becomes increasingly more difficult to enjoy and celebrate the journey, and we just want to get there. Everyone has a different there, but the crazy thing is when you think about it, when you skip the journey, you skip kind of like life. There's that movie Click, Adam Sandler,
So sad.
and it's a
It's a good
freaking
movie.
it's emotional
Yeah.
because at first you're like, oh my God, I want that remote to like fast forward through life or to like rewind back to things. But he's basically fast forwarding through to these moments that he wants. And by the end of the movie, I hope I'm not spoiling it, but by the end of the movie, you just really get this sense of like, I don't want to fast forward through those mundane moments of the journey because when you realize it, that's what life is. And if we keep trying to get to the next goal, we're skipping the best parts. And yet there isn't an Instagram for the journey. There's
Yeah.
not. So
No. That's why I challenge you guys, both of you, to start posting better non-makeup and
No, you didn't.
real. I'm challenging you right now.
oh
on
right,
the
I was
podcast.
like,
That's
you've never
funny.
done that.
I'm doing it right now because you're very picky about your pictures. So I'm just want
Rude.
something more real. I'm just saying.
I would like to protest that.
I think
Thank
you should
so
watch the
much.
movie Click too because it also has Kate Beckinsale on it. and
Such a lie.
Oh my
Do
God.
not
shout
look
out
at
to
my
Kate
photos like
if
that.
she ever listens
Shout
to
out.
this.
Liar.
Shout out to Kate.
What's yours, Queen?
That was pretty much it. Just I'll be happy when and the journey.
Oh yeah, sorry.
and- No, it's okay. You said
Sorry.
it better than I would have anyway. So
No, because you always feel this way too. I know. I've had a lot of conversations with you because you have a lot of goals that we obviously are shooting for.
yeah.
But it's one of those things where I say, if you're not happy now, then you'll never be happy. You just can't.
Yeah.
I
It
think we're
can't
all
happen.
guilty of that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I try so hard to be happy in the now, because whatever comes, it's not gonna affect anything. Like legit, it won't. It won't. I just feel like I believe freaking Diddy now more than ever when he says more money, more problems.
Mhm.
It's 100%, and you really do think that these things can fix your situation, but
I remember when part of me with that journey was like, and I feel like we always say now, like we've talked about this before, but it's because like you guys know our lives now, so there's that. But I remember really truly thinking, I'll be happy when I'm married, and the loneliest place to be
Ooh.
is when you married and you didn't deal with your ish because suddenly you are in a room with someone that doesn't know you, either because you didn't let yourself be known or they didn't, or there's a myriad of reasons. But I think the one I would have believed was like, I'll be happy when I'm married. And I've never been truly never been more happy than in this season of my life of finding contentment and really realizing, hey, how do I love my life if I never get married? And letting that go, not because it's not a desire of mine, not because I don't want kids. Like I want all of the things. I want to be a wife. I'm so excited to be a wife and to be a mom and to build a family and partner with someone in life. Just be bosses, you know. But right now, I love my life. I want someone as an addition, not someone to solve a problem. So
Yeah, for me, the big I'll be happy win was when I thought I'll be happy when I get into full-time ministry.
now you're like the opposite end of the
Now I'm the
spectrum.
opposite.
Oh,
But
no.
I can't tell you how many people that I talk to who are in ministry schools who might not even necessarily feel called to be in a ministry school.
Right.
They just feel like this is the path down if I want to get in full-time ministry. I know all these young cats who hit me up and they're like, what's it like? And I was like, not what you think. And again, I mean, there's good and bad with anything. But what they're essentially saying is like, I will feel like I will have reached this level of anointing. I will be happy. I'll be content when I get invites to go and speak places. And I'm like, honestly, that doesn't make you happy. Because if you're not happy now, having that and adding that component will just make you more miserable.
yeah,
And especially if you were forcing and you were having to change who you are and become something else to fit into that full-time ministry, you are not going to be happy. Because again, if you're in full-time ministry, like traditional, like it was like, hey, behind a microphone and I'm preaching from a pulpit, that's like 3% of the people. But that's maybe 3% of my own life. If you all of a sudden think that your happiness is going to be found in 3% of the
That's
way that
good.
you spend your time, what's going to happen in the other 97?
Yeah.
Like you're going to be miserable. You're going to be waiting so you can get in front of people to deliver a sermon and everyone's going to be like, oh my God, that's so good. That's such good revelation. But then when you get back to your hotel room that night and you are all by yourself in that room and you don't like yourself, dude, what happens there?
yeah, no, 100%.
And so, yeah,
That's
like
anything in public
Yeah,
too. It's not
anything.
just preaching. It's like that, like singing, stand-up comedy, dancing.
I feel like the industry that I'm in is a training ground for I'll be happy when, because we're always dreaming for the next, and you book your co-star role on a TV show and you get to say 6 words and you're like, okay. But when I actually get like a guest star and I get to like be in like 2 scenes, not just one, that's when it's legit. Okay, when I get like a series regular role and I'm on the show all the time, that's when it'll be good. Okay. When I actually start booking movies though, when
Yeah.
I do movies,
Yeah, it's always something else.
then it'll be good. Okay, well that was an independent film. When I do a like a studio feature film, that's when it will be okay, well that film didn't do well. When I do a film that
Right.
actually like does well at the box office, then it will be. Okay, so that one did well, but like it's constantly something else, something new,
Yeah.
and it's hard to be content where you're at but still dream for the future. And that's something that I've had to and I'm still learning how to balance that. And it's really just comes back to being present in the moment, because that lie of I'll be happy when my tour sells out.
Yeah.
That's not true. I've had a sold out tour and I feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
So
Every time I thought I'd be happy when, it always came with more problems that I didn't know about. So it was like,
That's so.
when I get on tour, it's gonna be amazing. But then I just got more notoriety, which meant more haters. And I didn't understand how I'm out here doing stuff for God, and more people hate me than ever before. And man, if I have a hit single, then we get to whatever. Cool, I got a hit single. And that one hit single got taken off of radio because people were like, this line isn't scriptural. I'm like, damn, hit single that's like touching mad lives, and it got pulled off of radio because somebody said it wasn't scriptural. Cool. I'll be happy when I get myself a dope ass car. Got myself a dope car. Got in an accident. Bruh. A bumper and a radiator cost us $13,000 to fix. A bumper and a radiator.
Ew.
I'm like, I don't like those kind of problems. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it all comes with you think you want these champagne problems, but then you get it and it's like, damn, I don't like that. Okay, cool. Let's get a big house. Oh, awesome. Yeah. You have to get a lawn guy. That's $250 a month. Then you got to get a pool guy. That's another $250 a month. Then if you want to do anything in this big ass house, you can't do it yourself because I'm sure it's not painting this whole damn thing. There's another 3 G's just to paint the house. You want to do anything else to it, you don't know how. How much have we spent on AV? God, like it's just, you want these nice things, but then it comes with all these added things that don't nobody tell you about. They just sell you this idea of what you would be happy with. But 9 times out of 10, you end up there and you're like, man, I am not happy with everything that comes with it. But you really, really think that you're gonna get there. But I think we've for sure talked about this before. But once you,
It's gonna be a drinking game soon. Whenever they say, we've talked about this
we've talked-
before.
yeah, you're gonna have to
Drink.
freaking take a little sip. But I mean, it's one of those things that hopefully, I don't know a lot of people who have learned prior to, chasing the thing. Because I kind of feel like people who hear this, they're probably saying, yeah, but
right.
I'm different, or
Yeah, that's-
but legit,
That's because it's a lie.
this is gonna help
That's
me.
easy for you to say.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got that type of vibe.
But I don't have no money right now, and for damn sure, if I get a better job, it's legit. I'm gonna be
no,
happier.
any stage of life, it's not I'll be happy when. Any
can't.
stage. You could have a job, you could not have a job, you could be in debt, you could be a millionaire, you could be married or single or divorced, you could have kids, not have kids. No matter what it is, the truth is you're not going to be happy then until you're happy now.
Because it can't be circumstantial. Happiness cannot be attached to something. Because if it is, then the second you lose that thing, then happiness is gone. So it's as fleeting as anything. So if happiness was connected to the job, then understand what you're saying. You're saying that happiness is only as secure as whoever your boss is likes you. That's crazy to me, that that's where you want to place your happiness in. Or in money that literally can burn, but at the same time, you can get played out of your money. The bank can go, lend your money out, and then you come to get it, and you won't have. There's no money there. A recession can hit, and all of a sudden, it's gone. Like, happiness cannot be circumstantial. It has to be just a choice that literally lives above anything that is physical.
So I think like if people are listening, they're like, "Oh, okay, well, great. Then how do I be happy?" I think for me, I don't know what you guys would think, but like for me, where it started was when I realized, well, first of all, everything's not fine. It's kind of cool because these all relate in so many different ways. But how do I build the life I want now? That if a guy, like when a man, like the guy comes along, that I don't need him. I want him, but I don't need him. How do I build that now? And for me, it was a step at a time. Honestly, just getting real with myself. What is Elise like? Because for so often, for so long, I didn't know. And I was just like, what does somebody else want me to like? What kind of things should I like over there? Like, I don't even know what freaking movies or music I liked. Like, truly, truly, truly. And it's been a discovery journey of who am I, and what do I want with my life, and using the building blocks there, not the building blocks of, okay, well, when I get the car, when I get the apartment, the things of like, in this moment, what do I need? And if you don't know yourself, you actually don't know what you need in any given moment. And so it's been a real self-discovery thing. So if people are listening and they're like, okay, well, how do I get that? It really does start with the honesty thing of like, maybe it's journaling. Gratitude is huge. Like,
Yeah.
start a freaking gratitude journal every day. Write 3 things every day for a month. Just make a commitment every day for a month. Do something, whether that's 3 things in a gratitude journal, whether every day you commit to sending a thank you text to someone that's meant something, whether every single day you go through something in your head that meant something to you in the last 24 hours, something that you loved and that you're grateful for. Relive that moment, whether it's, I don't know, like doing meditation, whatever that is for you, do that. And that's the way, and that's the building blocks to start to be happy and content where you're at and enjoy the journey so that when you get there, that you're happy.
For me, the quickest way that I realized what happiness was when I realized it was just all about relationships. Relationships were it for me. Like, nothing was more fun than when I was sharing it with people.
Yeah.
Like, we can travel all day long. We can do everything we want. You know, driving in my car solo is not as fun as driving with Ange. It's not. Like, it's fun. It's cool. But when you share something with someone, you know, when we were in New York just recently and we got to share that time, me and Ange have been in New York so many times, but when we got to share it with you guys, it was just like a different thing. It
You're
felt
welcome.
different. It was it lasted longer. Like,
Yeah.
the feeling of it
Yeah, it's
lasted longer, and
Yeah.
it created this thing in the gut. And I'm like, man, it comes down to just people. Like, people are your greatest commodity. Like, they say, like, if you have one good friend, then you're the richest man in the world. And I believe that so much, because all this other stuff, man, it just, I don't know, it doesn't do what it promises.
I would say for me, gratitude and being present in the moment. Because when you're present in the moment, well, I've heard it said before, anxiety is thinking about the future, depression is living in the past. And so when you're present in the moment, that is like your greatest opportunity to have clear eyes, clear vision, and actually be grateful and express gratitude for where you're at in life. Because it's hard to be grateful when you're living in the past and thinking about your mistakes or thinking about what you shoulda, coulda, woulda. And it's hard to be grateful when you're stressed out about the future and but how am I going to pay my bills, and but what if I never find the guy, or what if I never find the girl? So it's hard to be grateful in that. But when you're actually present in the moment, that is where you can find the best opportunity to express your gratitude and operate out of gratitude.
Yeah.
B?
Let's do it right now.
What?
One thing you're grateful for.
Oh, second round.
We're gonna start with you, Elise.
Yes, Brandon. Got him.
I feel so proud of myself right now. Oh,
What
man.
am I grateful for? I am grateful. Brandon, I'm grateful.
See how it feels?
So
So
rude.
this is such a great lesson for you.
I'm grateful for these opportunities to dive deeper and process with lots and lots of people, but also process at this table. And I think I have discovered so much about myself, even as I say things sometimes out of my mouth. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't realize I felt that way, or I didn't realize I believed that. That's interesting. But I'm really grateful for that opportunity. And I'm so grateful, genuinely so grateful that people are listening and finding a metaphorical seat at this table. Like, I'm so grateful for the people that are listening that I have relationship with that I didn't even know. So I'm really grateful for this podcast, for the journey that we're all on.
Yeah.
Hey Brendan, why don't you go next?
No, we're gonna go around the circle.
Oh my gosh!
So if you're 12 o'clock right now, Edge is 2. So we're gonna go clockwise.
Whatever.
I am grateful. So many things.
Turns out.
Turns out that I'm grateful. This is difficult. Just because it's the most present thing in my life right now. I'm grateful for the opportunity to take a step back and be honest with myself and learn where I can be better. And tough pill to swallow. I've been swallowing a lot of tough pills lately. That's hard, but it's so good for my growth as a person, as a wife, as a friend. And so I'm grateful that this season of life that I'm in, I get to take a step back and say, hey, Ange, how can you be better? Because you need to be. So
I'm grateful for health. That's such a freaking generic thing, but my mom's in the hospital right now and she has this pain in her legs, and she's been there for like almost 2 weeks now, and no one knows what's wrong. And as I think about it, I'm like, man, I can't remember how many times I told my mom to like eat better, exercise, and she'd be like, I've eaten this way my whole life and I'm fine, and now she is not fine. And so it just reminds me of how we can be talking about anything and everything, husbands, wives, this and that, cars, houses, money, whatever. But if you don't have like the health, just good old health, waking up, breathing in, walking, you can't enjoy any of it. So I'm super grateful that everybody at this table is healthy and we were able to wake up and walk and get ourselves here. Because I think the second it's taken away, we'll realize how absolutely important it was.
Really regretting eating that Domino's pizza now.
Are you feeling it right now?
No, just after that health, I feel convicted.
But you're good, you're good.
I didn't know if the garlic sauce was coming up.
No.
We did.
That was
We
you.
burned a lot of calories in yoga today.
I'd say one thing I'm really grateful for, and it kind of the thought sparked on me the other night when we went to go see Where'd You Go, Bernadette. It's a great film.
Yep.
And it brought up something in me. There's this moment, trying not to spoil, but this family, it kind of looks like it's going to get torn apart. And then there's this moment where they all realize just like how much they love each other, and they come together, and the family doesn't end up being dismantled. And it's a husband, it's a wife, and the daughter, and they're all hugging each other. And as I'm watching this film, I start getting teary-eyed because I can remember the last time that my blood family felt like that. Wow. And that's been such a long time. And I think for the first time in almost 7 years where I could feel fulfillment and I can feel that sort of love and the strength of that in a family unit was with you guys. And I'm super thankful. And I literally it's like one of the things that I thank the Lord for every day is like the fact that he would put us all together. And I feel like that's a little bit kind of cheesy, I guess, to say because we're all together right now. But Manny knows. We were at some random sushi spot and I'm getting teary-eyed talking about it like, yo, this is the first time I felt family in almost 6 years.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm so damn grateful, So I love you guys so much.
Aww. Brendan.
That's why you wanted to go lost. Okay.
No, it's not even.
Why don't we go
just-
around
I just
now?
Is
wanted
it
to-
mine and Manny's
I just-
arguing that remind you of your parents growing up? Are we mom and dad?
We're not arguing. We don't argue. We discuss.
Oh, that's right.
Y'all
We
ain't-
don't have arguments.
Y'all ain't old enough to be my parents, though.
We don't
Yeah.
argue. We discuss things. Man, stop getting chatty over there, women.
Why don't we go around and say one thing we love about
No,
me
we're
now?
not going to.
It's not gonna happen tonight.
a
Hey,
suggestion.
We're super grateful that you guys would let me piggyback off of what we said. We are grateful that you guys listen, that you lend
Yeah.
an ear, that you even spend time, that you share with your friends. It's such a fulfilling feeling to hear from you guys and to see that something that we babble out of our mouths is helping in any way. Because sometimes we'll be on here and be like, I hope this does something. But we are grateful, and we hope that you guys continue to find yourselves at this table, because we really do it for you, and
Yeah.
we love you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's cheers it up, man. Does anybody want to give the benediction?
Elise, you want to give the benediction?
Yeah, let's talk crap. Yeah.
We pray you find a seat at the table, but if you don't, you are always welcome at ours. Cheers.
Cheers.
Almost as good as I do it, but
Rude.